Alright, so if you're not playing Deathwish, then it might be a time to consider playing, because I put together this deck for 10.2, tried a couple trial games, we played 4 games, and I had extraordinary results. Believe it or not, there weren't really any balance changes, if any actually, with monsters coming into the patch, but the thing is, as the meta shifts, some things become more feasible. So there are a lot of options for Deathwish that make a lot of sense to deal with the meta that we have right now. So we don't just need to play cards that have been affected by balance changes. Indirectly, these cards may have gotten buffed. So we'll talk about the list here because I think it's really important. If you're looking to play monsters this season, this is something that you can try, and I've had, like I said, good success with it. So we have Haunt, which is a scenario that we can play in either round 1 if we're looking to win on even and take that on red coin, or we can play it into a round 3. So either way is fine with me. I've had some success doing both. Now, this spawns a Desert Banshee in the row on the prologue, so before we play anything, it's this here, and it's a consume engine that boosts by 1 whenever we play a unit with Deathwish. Now, I didn't want to go all in with Deathwish units, so we have just enough to make it work in this deck. However, when we do play a Deathwish unit, we get a Barghest here, which is another consume card. And then, of course, at the end, when we play a second Deathwish unit, we get the Night Wraith, which has a deployability and Deathwish ability for a couple extra points. This just acts for a really big point swing. This, within a short period of time with Dettlaff and Maruna or something like that, is a massive amount of points, and the tempo is what's going to help us really keep up with a lot of those Skellige matchups and a lot of those Siege matchups, especially Pirates and Siege, because Deathwish plays into that so well. If they destroy our units, bad things happen for them, right? That's basically what it is, and it makes it less attractive for them to go for the units that we have. And, you know, if they have to go and kill something off, then it's not the end of the world, because there's an after effect of that. So basically what it is here, Spear Tip is going to help with consistency. We have the old Spear Tip that recently got the indirect buff because of the old Spear Tip Asleep rework that I would consider a buff. So with this one here, after 3 turns, summon old Spear Tip from your deck to this row and increase the base power by 6, then banish itself. If old Spear Tip is damaged, then we go and we summon old Spear Tip from the deck and banish self instead. So you can just throw this down in round 1, play it for points, and then after 3 turns, it's going to bring up the Spear Tip at 18 points, which is ridiculous because it helps set up Ozrel so well, right? And I did consider putting the Imlerith's Wrath to go in there, maybe instead of a Heat Wave to help kind of synergize with that play, but I think Heat Wave is a little bit safer in this instance here, and I just didn't have room for both. So honestly, we get huge 18-point swing in round 1. Round 3, we can finish with a 19-point Ozrel. It's great, right? If we can win round 1 and bleed round 2, we can have a short round 3 with almost a 20-point slam off 1 card, maybe some carryover off the Truffle, and then maybe something else. So you can imagine how deadly that would be in a short round. Now, like I said, Heatwave, banish an artifact or a unit, right? So it could be either 30-40 point play, whether it's just like one tall hiked up unit. It could be their scenario. There's numerous applications for this, and you'll see different takes on the Heatwave in today's gameplay. We have Mushy Truffle. This is my way of getting points, generating win conditions for rounds, and obviously getting more consumes without having to actually put more consumes in the deck. I really like the Stelenio Harpies because I find with these ones here, when they're bonded, you get a Harpy Egg for free. So it helps us cycle points more effectively, especially when we're playing into control. We get the extra Harpy Egg out there, and maybe they have damage random pings off rain or bombardments and stuff like that. We can crack the egg and get the free Harpy. So it makes a lot of sense just to have something like that. Then we have the actual location's order of playing the Golden Froth, being able to get 6 points for free. We can use it as carryover, or we can just use it to buff up maybe one of our thinning packages or something like that, right? We have 2 thinning packages in the Bronze End. So that's why I have the Mushy Truffle here. And with the Dettlaff, obviously this is something that you can play in around the scenario, or you could just play this with 2 leader charges in round 3, right? So basically, summon itself from graveyard the same row. It has a counter of 2, so you could do it twice. This plus leaders over 20 points, right? Because you get the 3-point Ekamaras times 2 is 6, and then you get the 6, 12, 18. So you're looking at 24-point play. Just, you know what I mean? Snap your fingers is done, basically. So really good play. Now, Naglfar is in the deck instead of Royal Decree because sometimes we might have to be looking for a special card, right? We have some really important ones in the deck. We have Haunt, which is an artifact. We have Karathi, which is a special. And we have the Mushy Truffle, which is an artifact. So we can't pull those cards with Royal Decree. I'm just telling you this because I'm sure maybe someone will mention that. That's why Naglfar's in the deck. And it thins so well with the Spear Tip Asleep combo, right? And then the Wild Hunt Riders, and then the actual Archospores here. You know, we're getting really good packages for thinning, so I don't really feel bad about playing Naglfar. And you'll see that we're actually pretty much playing all of our golds consistently. There might have been one match where I had really bad draws, and you know, we still managed to do all right in that one. So you'll see that in the gameplay today, but that's that. This plays phenomenal into the Siege matchup. This plays incredible into the Gednith matchup. We have Maruna here. So Deathwish sees a random enemy with 4 or less power. This will play well into Madoc. This will play well into lots of things, right? Orbs, Howlzer. Like, there's so many different things that we could take. The boat, Syndicate. Basically, we put this down. If we go first, we have the Stratagem. So we take their engines, we could take their Henselt even, right? And we could take their reinforced ballistas, all types of stuff like that. But we have that potential here, and then we have an extra potential because the Abaya triggers an allied unit's Deathwish ability. So Abaya's main target would be Maruna, Abaya's alternative target would be Harpy Egg, both of which are just fine. It doesn't work on Detlef. So you have good options there. And then Abaya also helps work as a Thrive engine, so whenever we play something with a higher base power, it's going to be boosting itself. So if this card gets damaged, well, it's going to basically be healing itself. We have tons of things to proc the Thrive, right? Thrive, 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 thrive. You see what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, so pretty good stuff. And an alternative, if you weren't comfortable with this play, would be Parasite, perhaps, but I like it quite a bit here. Now, again, playing into a lot of these 4 power engine decks that are going around right now, things coming out at 4 points. We have the Toad Prince, which makes a huge difference here. Imagine eating an Elven Seer or a Croquan Preacher or Elven Scribe, or you know, just about anything like that. One of the longships, you know. So Toad Prince just great. Eat something with 4 or less power. It can be both sides of the playing field, so it could be ours, it could be theirs. Usually you're going to want to use it against them, right? But we could get creative if we're playing into no unit. Maybe we have an Harpy Egg out there. We can consume it if we're out of leader charges, whatever the case. So it's kind of flexible, but you want to use it mainly offensively. So that's pretty much it. We talked about Osril being one of 2 things. So we can go and we can consume the target that we have being the Spear Tip boosted to 18, right? Having that new base power of 18. If we miss that, it's a little bit of a sad story if we do it our way. Now, this is like a pseudo squirrel. I think it gets really good value in that way, especially if we're on red coin and we have the space to do it. So if we're playing into a Madoc matchup, it's Engrave, or Crow Mother, it's Engrave, like all these different types of plays. Maybe we're playing against Skellige Ray and they have Real Hand in the grave. We can go and consume that card and just take it away from them. We're playing against a lot of Self-Wound right now as well. Not in today's games, but this is kind of something I had in mind. Melusine in the grave, Sigvald in the grave, Defender in the grave, whatever we need to take away, we could actually do that with Osril. We take its power, we remove it from the game from them, because it banishes it from their graveyard when it's consumed, right? So really good stuff with that play. Now, because I don't have Parasite, and because sometimes 6 isn't enough to remove things right now, there's a lot of really annoying engines at 7. With the Francesca, with the Sigvald, with the Rafford's Vengeance boosted off the Inspired Zeal Leader, just to name a few. The Krakon Crate, right? There's 4. So sometimes we just need to lock it because we can't get rid of it. And a lot of times then it requires them to have a Purify Answer in hand immediately. And, well, this doesn't work on Francesca, but the other 3. Anyways, so we get to lock it and just... Now they have to slow down and they have to purify that, and then we have time to kind of figure something else out. So that's pretty much it. I think it sees some good value here. Procs Thrive on the Abaya, and it just it makes a lot of sense in the deck. We talked about the Seleno Harpies, right? Having these going on. Wild Hunt Riders, pretty easy to play. So just on Dominance, summon all copies of this unit from your deck to this row, so we could play this first. Proactive play. Something to do if we don't... Let's say we have a bunch of specials and consumes in hand, we just throw these out. Easy, right? and get that thinned out real quick. We have the Harpy Eggs, like I mentioned, just a really good bronze consume. There's many different options that you can look at. Like if we're looking at Deathwish, what, doesn't show me? That's weird. Okay, let's just say we're already there. Oh yeah, we are. Okay, so there's like, you could go like maybe the Succubus route. You can go maybe the Rotfiend route. These are certainly options. However, this is random damage and sometimes it's inconsistent. This here requires a bit more setup and cards to help with it, like Doldulok, K-Ran, stuff like that. This, again, random. It might be just taking out tokens or not playing for the full value. This requires us to maybe put more consumes in the deck, which is not really something I wanted to do. I find when you go all in with the consumes, then you're stuck with a bunch of consumes and nothing to consume, and it really kind of sucks in that way. This would be good if I felt it was necessary. I figured Tall Punish is probably more appropriate, a Purify is probably more appropriate to get around the defender, and then a backup consume just in case, because we have the 1, 2, and then the 3 here, and then this would be number 4 to do like a sandwich consume. So I like this ratio very well. Super comfortable with it, and you'll see in the games today, like the ratio is superb. It's like on point with where it should be, and that's one of the hardest parts about making Deathwish decks, is figuring out the right ratio. So I didn't really think we needed any of these, and didn't really think we needed more Deathwish units, and the consume, like I said, it's fine. Now these were definitely considerations as well. Felt a little bit like a trap, because a lot of the play revolves around this goes super tall, this gets punished. I don't like to play greedy, I like to play consistent, and it would be super frustrating if I keep going into games and trying to get this to work and copy something and then they just heat wave it and we're done. So I didn't like that. And the incantation, sure, it's actually really good, but this would be much better if we played in a deck that had more Deathwish units, and that's not the focus that I'm looking at here. I'm looking to play something that's able to be competitive, that it's able to be flexible, and it has control and points. So it just didn't feel necessary to put something like this in the deck right now. And Mana Core, there's too many tokens going around, so Imperial Mana Core just didn't make the cut, right? So that's why I have everything here. Talked about the Spores reset. A lot of people going tall in the Sigvald, a lot of people going tall in Crow Clan Preachers. You've got the odd Kolgrim match, I'm sure, like tons of different stuff. They take a Joachim into something, well, there's some pretty good Spores, right? So we have that, and that's pretty much the deck. So in today's video, I'll show you 4 games with commentary for reference, and I definitely recommend that if you're looking to try out monsters, you give this deck a try. And if you like the content you see today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's get into the games. Alright, so for the first game here, we've got Nilfgaard Double Cross, and by the way, after recording the gameplay for this video and the intro and all that sort of thing, before I get to this part, I had my buddy Patty409 give the deck a try, and he was able to go 5-1 with the deck. Now, he's not in pro rank yet, he hasn't played in about a season or so, so he's rank 5, but he was able to fill up the mosaic really quickly. So proof of concept's there, and I'm really happy about that. So hopefully he can continue that grind and let me know if it gets him to pro this season, because I think it would be a good update for this deck. Now, I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to win this game? I have to try something outside the box. I go ahead, I jam Haunt here. And the idea is, because we have good Deathwish units in hand, we can go and play Deadlaugh and all that sort of thing, and just really try and tempo on them. Have some round control, maybe try and bleed out some of their golds in round 2, and not give them the best leader. Because if they were to roll, let's say, Haunt off leader or Deadlaugh on leader, it wouldn't be difficult for them to really get a lot of points from that play. So yeah, we're just going to keep jamming here. I don't have that same kind of tempo as Blightmakers, so it's another reason why this scenario is just important. And what I started doing actually is, on my Discord server, it's not every day, but I'm going to try and make it a habit of basically doing like group brainstorming sessions. So today we had a bunch of us in there kind of theory crafting some decks, showing each other a couple decks and just playing some games and sharing that with each other. So if that's something that interests you, you can always join the Discord server and I'd be happy to have you. You see what I mean here? Like, we jam scenario and we finish it and all they do is they take a thin and a diplo, and they're basically ahead. I'm glad that we did see the leader here. Them having access to double mushy truffle is going to be pretty nasty, because usually Assimilate right now is playing one. But we can just keep playing. I have the ability to go now and take a thin and just play our hand down to nothing, really. Like, there's not really any cards that we'd want to keep beyond this point. If I could save mushy truffle, that'd be perfect, but so yeah, we can just get the extra points there. I'm thinking maybe we go consume that informant just so that we can deny them from copying something else. We don't want them to get the harpy or something like that. So we get the pass here, we win uneven. I think it's important in this matchup. I don't think it's important in every matchup. So that's pretty good to see. Couple things we probably don't need here, Peller being one of them. And spores could be good, could be bad. I'm just showing based on the fact that we have 2 leader charges and 2 Deathwish units in hand, we didn't need the other consume. And the fact that we wouldn't have them bonded is another reason. So that's why I took the mulligan there on that. So fortunately for us, they don't have anything that they can copy from our side that's going to actually bond, or sorry, consume the egg, right? And I'm just going to remove that so they don't bond it. That should be fine. It's really not a bad idea to steal an egg. Maybe we can just save the one we have in hand. It's more tempo, so then I can look at maybe getting a couple cards out from them to catch up to us. So right away they respond with the Terra Nova, which is great. I gotta be careful though, because if they roll anything to proc the Dettlaff, then we're in trouble. So, you know, I'm trying to get some tempo here. We're 21 points ahead. They need 22 to beat us here. Yeah, see, imagine like they rolled. Yeah, exactly, right? Now, I would normally consider to pass here. However, I'm pretty certain that they're going to go and they're going to boost that Endriga Warrior because they got 4 units on the row, and it sits in such a spot where they have to if they use Mushy Truffle. So just basically damage something there and just wait for them to use Truffle off of it, which even if they play it now, it's affecting that card, right? And so then that goes for a pretty big reset from 16 down to 4, 12-point reset. Very inexpensive. We have the space and time to do that. And we might even play like the egg from hand just to see what they have in exchange for it, because it's really not going to be that valuable in short round 3, right? If we're seeing Brathens come out right now, then that tells me that they probably have 2 cards that are better, right? So just play that. If they pass, we win. And oh, there's coup, right? So last card could be Yen, for example, so we have to pass. Because if they Yen it, they still win. And then they get to play that on me in round 3, which would make us lose. So We didn't really get to set up Osril all too well, however, it might still play for something. You just consume maybe something out of their grave, 7 points. Either way. Heller probably goes. Abaya's not very good here. Neither's Harpy, right? We want, like, the Heat Wave. There we go. We wanted the Toad Prince, maybe.
I need not spill blood to make you suffer like never before.
So we'll just play priority first, like lowest to greatest cards, basically. So if they remove them, then it's not a problem.
I forgive you. This time.
I'm thinking about taking the Osril here. Which is fine, yeah. The sequencing's perfect, so even if it's like Heatwave, right? And perfect. They said Deathwish couldn't win games, right? Let's go and look at another example. Here we got Northern Realms Inspired Zeal, and this one's going to be the Siege matchup, believe it or not. So lots of strength with that deck right now. Tons of removal, tons of tempo. And in this case we're on blue coin, so, and we would break in our hand. Nice. So obviously we can't really play too far into this round. I gotta look at getting points out here quick. I don't think we ever try and play Riders from hand. I think we get caught if we do that. We probably just take the thin package and then look for a way out.
I'm an officer and a gentleman.
That's probably something we want to remove though if we can. The thing is, like, I'd like to take a natural selection here. The only thing is I have 2 of them and I have a lock and we have to deal with the scenario. So it's one of those things where if I'm thinking that I might actually just lose the round anyways, then maybe I'll just go do things a little bit differently. And let's look to get out at 7 potentially with the Indriga Warrior there in between the Egg and the Archospore. So we see Foltest Pride come out. We're barely ahead here. We should be able to stay ahead unless they take Henselt or Amphibious, I think. So a lot of times we're playing against opponents, I feel as though they're waiting for like the Defender and then the Weavis and then like all that stuff to come down, so we're able to kind of like slide a few points by them. That's perfect. Yeah, I want to play so bad, right? I want to take a lock, I want to kill something, it's just not worth it. They have 3 cards with like a cooldown on the board. And then 1 card with the Vitality, right? So it's only a matter of time before they pass us here. All our cards are just sitting points. It's kind of nice. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the inspirations for playing Deathwish is to play into control. It doesn't feel as bad. And we don't go super tall either. I think the tallest we go is with Osrol, and that's like a finisher play. Like, it's expected that we use that way if we have last say. Otherwise, we probably find another use for them, right? Everyone's running Heat Wave, so... So I would fully expect them to bleed here, because when I play Siege myself, I'm able to win round 1 quite effectively and inexpensively. So often you'll just see like scenario come down right away. So the fact that I didn't here tells me, okay, maybe they're just playing a couple cards and getting out of the round. So I have to play a little bit slower, just in case. And I don't really have anything I can just play. Like, we could take the Dorgare lock, or we could roll the Nagelfar, but that's almost it. But we do have some space, so if we're gonna play Egg, it's here. It's not like we have Haunt, so we don't have to worry about keeping those Deathwish units in hand. It also makes it a little bit more difficult for them to use that order, because if they put down a Reinforced Ballista plus that, they trigger the Egg, and that's fine. I think it's great though. It's been a while since I've really seen like classic Deathwish. So people see the cards, they're like, what do I do? I can't take it out. So this is one of the reasons why Toad Prince is in the deck. Playing into that specifically is really nice. Perfect. So I wanted to take the Mushy Truffle carryover here just so we have like a little bit of an advantage if we draw poorly. We need Heatwave, Spear Tip, and Haunt. I don't really care about the Spear Tip as much because I have the other one. And I didn't take the Thin because I wanted the carryover, so I'm going to mulligan that back, and then if we pull the other one, it's fine. I didn't think we had a good enough Osrol, so I tucked him back. Obviously, not pulling Haunt is unfortunate. I think this might have been the only game that I didn't pull Haunt. I think we can actually just roll for it here, because if we fail, we still get Osrol. Maybe. It's a tough one. I'm wondering, okay, if I was somehow able to get that Thin off earlier, then would we have drawn at least one more gold card? Because that could have made a pretty big difference, but... And I suppose offensive Osrol could have been an option as well. But I don't see scenario just yet, so we have some time. There we go. So yeah, we could have played it on the melee row. They still would have been giving it damage when they proc this thing, but... I know that in order to potentially win the game at this point, I have to sort of take a little bit of a greedier play here. So I'm thinking, okay, we keep down Maruna, they try and proc their scenario again, they bring out the battering ram, then we take both, right? It's kind of the idea. I thought about muzzle here, but I felt like Maruna was pretty similar. Okay, so we have 3 good targets. We gotta get it done so that the bombardment's not as bad. That's the one I was looking for. And I wanted the battering ram second. That's too bad. So we keep them alive just in case, right? Because these could engine quite well for us. And then we probably have to go and lock Raffords. I just don't want them to start taking winches. So there we go. Pretty comfortable lead, but if they have a bunch of duels, then we're in trouble. I do have 3 consumes total. So we've got Detlef 2 with 1 with the leader, 1 with the other Harpy. It would have been nice if we had the 1 more, because we'd get the bonded egg, and then we can't really consume that right now. Just kill that before they keep using it every other turn. I floated here because, again, if it takes damage, it'll come back, so it's like not the end of the world. I don't anticipate a lock. So, I was thinking up until about this point that I'm probably going to lose, but now I'm thinking I actually might win. Because we have the Harpy plus the egg plus the... Yeah, you see what I mean? Now it works out fine. The Harpy plus the egg, and then the extra Detlef, Akamara points, and the Spear Tip. I was just showing you, like, at least we'll proc Thrive on that. Consume that, that's fine. So now we got a lot of points, and this is the crazy part, because we basically just doubled our points in 1 turn. So that one's just a win, I think. It's definitely close, though. Closer than it needed to be. However, if I pulled Haunt, think about all the points we would have had there too, right? We missed Haunt and Heatwave in that game. So this one's played right after, so obviously a little bit disappointed with not taking our draws, so let's focus on getting out those thinning options early so that we can really try and pull into some good cards here. So having the spear tip asleep is probably like the most ambitious thing for us, but it's a Toad Prince, it's a Maruna, it could be a Lock. I think Prince is probably safest, because Maruna takes damage from that. But if we're gonna Maruna, we have to do it soon because they have that stratagem and it makes our odds really poor. So this is probably just a safer bet.
That might even be amusing.
Your stench.
Now, a couple things. Either they're going to be running Burna next, or they don't have it. And I'm just banking on the fact that they don't have it, because I don't really want to spend my time locking the Coral. But I think we have to lock that. Just because at this point I intend on playing into the round quite thoroughly. Like, as long as we can, at least. So they play Pallor, they don't use it. When I see stuff like that, then I just, honestly, I have to keep playing. Like, we can't stop at this point. We kept the Pallor in our hand in case they have Turgvi or something like that, right? We can go ahead and purify that. We also have Consumes as an option too. So the really important thing here is that we've gotten the Spear Tip at 18 points, and we've guaranteed last say provided we lost on even, or we won on even rather. So we can just bleed out here, see how much we can get. And then we can just go into a short round 3 with the Oswald solution, probably enough to win the game. So I think bleeding with Haunt is actually a thing. Bleed with Haunt and Truffle and then just maybe not click Truffle until round 3. It's one of those things. But I've got a lot of Deathwish units in hand, so we don't have to play Haunt just yet. You just maybe have them think we're not really going too deep into the round. Okay, Truffle comes down here.
A beautiful pair of legs, please.
I like having the egg out first because we can always go and proc that with the Abaya and then play more Deathwish units so that we're getting the Thrive curve a bit better on the Abaya.
Best drown yourself with those damn nets.
So we'll play that here because obviously with the rain it's going to heal itself when we Thrive it, so It's like we're getting back some of the points that we might be losing here. And one of the nice things too is that we're going to be bringing out the Sunset Wanderers in this round. And I guess Fukusha as well. So, good stuff. The Maruna odds are poor, but I think we do roll. Kind of want to take that boat. I don't think we need to spend leader to do it. I was thinking about, okay, is it like, do we need to do anything with that right now? Not really. I wasn't expecting muzzle. Usually it's heat wave. Sometimes it's both. Sometimes, well, I've never seen just muzzle only for pirates at least. So they have truffle on the board. I think we're going to eventually want to put truffle out for ourselves as well. And it doesn't really make sense to not want to at least try and bond these harpies and then do all that, because we have all three of the harpies here. We can even maybe even play Detlef, right? Because we've got 2 pending. They're really not gonna let me bond that. It's probably not worth it to play Detlef. Like, even if it means we don't finish scenario, I think that's fine. Look at all the commitments we're getting. Like, I don't want to spend yeah, I especially don't want to spend truffle now. We've gotten Fukusha, Sunset, Muzzle, Terror of the Sea, Juna, the Mushy Truffle, like all this stuff off of just playing a Haunt, pretty much. So that's pretty good. I decided to take a Heat Wave there on the Truffle so they don't have the carryover points that we have. So just one more advantage that we're stacking for round 3. And Morkvar coming out here and Fukusha have already been played, which is huge. Now we know there's no answer to anything, even when we consume maybe Detlef with a leader token. So we've got 24 points off Detlef leader, and then 19 points off Osrol alone. And we know that we're going to be top decking into Osrol guaranteed because we took Naglfar when we had 2 golds in deck. So I'm expecting it here. And I don't know about the other 2 cards, but I know that the first 2 are probably enough to win the game. And that's actually not bad. It makes them using leader charges and stuff really weird if we just play these 2 cards first. Because the egg gives us back the 6 points, right? And then the Arc Spore gives us back the 4. And so we'll take Detlef second to last so that we can split up the points as much as possible. Crack works on the lowest, which happens to be the Arcasport right now, so it's all in our favor. So Igni would be good, but Igni wouldn't win them the game. Yeah, so we're just good and they know it. Now, we had a lot of points sitting right there. Moving on to the last game of the day, we have a Druid's Alchemy Sigvald combo deck. That's what we're playing against. First time seeing like that particular hybrid in play. but I had my suspicions early on because they played a lot of expensive cards early, so I figured there might be something else going on. Nice to take our Thins early here. And we have really good options with the Maruna, so if they go and play... Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, we just go ahead and take that. I don't consume it like with the Toad Prince, we take it. There we go, because we don't want them bringing that back. So that's a good discard here. Didn't really get anything in exchange. Archospore is fine. We take that. We get out of the round basically. And I want to do it before I get trapped here. If they play something expensive real soon, then it gets more difficult to go ahead and take this play. So 31-12. It feels like we have enough room to pass so that they can't bleed with Truffle. That's what I'm hoping for, right? Yeah, Gednith comes down. Like, look at this. That'll do it for me. They decided that they don't want us to take the other one. So they had to use Truffle right away. But at least we did some damage control. At least we got the scenario out of the way and the Mushy Truffle out of the way. So now we can go and take a Heat Wave on whatever else they're hiding, basically. I don't think they're going to play too far. I think it's going to be to 7 and leave because they have the rightmost side with the Sunset. So I'm just playing it slow here. Take the Harpy and call it. One thing I actually think at the time should have been done differently, and I'm looking here like, oh no, right? Like we have 2 Deathwish units in deck. And I have none in hand. So we might get in trouble with the hunt. I've got a 100% chance of pulling Detlef, so I'm just thinking, okay, with all the commitments we got out in round 1, we should just be fine if we pulled Detlef only for scenario. Plus, if scenario gets heat waved, it's not even that bad. Like, that could actually be a good thing. So I'm going to play it nice and early. And obviously, you could put more consumed units in the deck. I don't think that's the answer necessarily, because it's very rare that this type of thing happens, or has been happening. Yeah, so defender comes down. I'm thinking something bad's going on behind that defender, so if I kill it, they bring it back. I missed the Pellar. We kind of got to take a heat wave here. At least we have spores.
never cease plundering and spraying.
What's nice is that we can do maybe a same round spear tip Osril, right? If we consume the spear tip and then just, yeah, that's a thing. And so here's the troublemaker. This is basically what they had in mind. And I think that they think it's safe because they saw the heat wave. We have to wait for the right time to use it, otherwise we don't get the value we're looking for. But we don't really want to wait till they take a bunch of damage potentially on something of ours either. Really not a lot we can do on this turn, so it's a waiting game. We can go in for that laugh shortly. The Abaya is kind of like, it's not it right now. Like maybe we take some Thrive off of it.
It's not getting in the way of the axe.
But we have an advantage here because they're going to be putting a lot of their points in the same card. And I thought about taking, let's say, the lock and then using the spores on like whatever other card. It doesn't make sense because the card that we lock is also the one I want to reset. And this is probably where what could have been there. But we have to do something about that spear tip because we want to be able to consume quickly before they take care of it, replay it. Yeah, we just take it now. It should be fine. They worked really hard putting that together. And that'll do it. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another one. Try this deck out.